Welcome back to Generational Dr. Wealth, a personal finance show for doctors. This podcast is for educational entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice. Always consult your own professionals.
Hello. Welcome back to the Generational Dr. Wealth show. My name is Dr. Jermaine Fetty.
And my name is Donnie Fetty.
This is a personal finance show for doctors like you. And you know what this one is. This is a Q&A episode. We have compiled questions from doctors all over the nation that have specific questions on how to implement this doctor's blueprint in their life and specific questions that pertain to their specific situations. So we're excited to hop into it. And as you can see, we have a new studio. Tell us a little bit about that, Ms. Dawn.
Of course, everyone knows that Pinterest is my favorite pastime. So I love looking at all things aesthetics and figuring out how I can bring them to life. So this was a project that had been in the making. It was on pause for a while, but finally got it together maybe 2 weeks ago or so. So you'll have to let us know how y'all like it in the comments.
Alrighty, let her know. She's an interior decorator, decorated the dental practice, decorated all our Airbnbs. The property queen in the flesh. So now we have two studios and one home. There we go. All right, let's hop into it. So I'm going to give a little bit of background on what step we're on. We're on step number 3 of the doctor's blueprint to financial freedom. As you remember, step number 1 is to make sure you are properly insured. Step number 2, make sure you have 1 month of income saved up in your freedom fund. And now we are on the Q&A episode of step number 3, kill the wealth killers. This is anything above 8%. Make sure you tackle and get it out of your life as soon as possible, because it is impossible to build wealth when you have a credit card sucking 20-25% interest out of your bank account every single month. Yeah. So that's what we're going to be tackling today. We have questions from doctors like you on how do we go about killing the wealth killers in our lives. How do we put ourselves in a strong position to make sure that our wealth is building and not literally eroding underneath our feet?
All right, so let's get into it.
All right,
we have a few different scenarios of doctors, real situations, fake names that have written into us so we can help them figure out how to get through their situations that they're going through. So our first scenario, we have Dr. Marcus. He's a new associate dentist making $240,000 a year with $18,000 in credit card debt at 24%. He keeps using his credit card because cash flow feels tight. The question that Dr. Marcus has is, I'm finally making doctor money, but somehow I feel broke every month. At what point do I admit the lifestyle is the problem?
So that's a good question. And the best way to put it is, when it comes to your income, literally lifestyle inflation is a silent killer.
Yeah.
It is literally the number one way, which a lot of people know as like inflating your lifestyle.
Like lifestyle creep.
Lifestyle creep, as most people call it, right? When you are increasing your lifestyle disproportionate to the amount of income that's increasing, it literally destroys your wealth. And the issue is most people don't know how to incrementally increase their lifestyle. What happens is we come into more income than we're used to. And then we try to basically do the things that we've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
We go get the brand new BMW. We go get the brand new house. We go on the big vacation. We cash our mom out, cash our brother out, our sister out. All the things that we've always wanted to do, but not understanding that once you step into a doctor's income, you have a lot more responsibilities than just yourself. You have to make sure, as we said in step number 1, that you're properly insured. We got to make sure in step number 2, you have some type of freedom fund in place, because again, COVID can come down and you might be furloughed by your employer, or you might be your own employer furloughing yourself. Yeah, so you don't know what might come up. And when you have a higher income, you have a higher responsibility to make sure you're saving. So the reason that Dr. Marcus is feeling a little pinched is because this $18,000, the dollar amount is small, but the interest is super high.
24%.
We're talking about 24% annually. That means every month, 2% is what he owes in just interest alone. So let me try to put that into perspective, right? 2% of this is roughly, if I'm doing like top of the head math, we're talking about maybe $360 a month that he's paying in just interest. Just interest.
No.
So if he's
not even paying the you said $360?
$360.
If he's not even paying the $360, that on top of the principal
is increasing. And understand, $18,000 is not that much money. So what happens is if it is allowed to continue to increase, it can become a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I know people who have honestly like 5 times this amount in credit card debt. So credit cards is literally the worst way to handle expenses in a pinch. If you're going to use credit cards, you got to use them responsibly to be able to pay them off by the end of the month. If you can't do that, don't do it. Because 24% is just too high for anybody to be accruing. I don't care how much you make. You can be a brain surgeon making $1 million a year. If you have enough credit card debt, it can and it will sink you. I want you to Google how many Americans that are making more than $250,000, $250,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. And that's what Dr. Marcus is. He's basically a $250,000 annual earner, right? And if you look that up, just Google it. Not Dr. Ifedi telling you this. I want you to Google it and you'll find multiple sources, CNBC, Money Wallet, Nerd Wallet. You'll find so many different articles that all preach that 1/3 of Americans that are making over $250,000 living paycheck to paycheck.
Do you think that people are less likely to just take out a personal loan over using a credit card? One, maybe credit cards are a little bit more accessible. You can just like apply for a credit card online and get approved because of the negative connotation that's associated with loans in general. So
people are more likely to use their credit cards, just like you said, because it's easier to access. And most people don't understand they have an issue while they're using their credit card. So usually taking a personal loan out to mitigate an issue, whether it be a cash flow pinch or a larger expense. Let's say something goes out on the house, something goes out on the car, and it's bigger than what the credit card limits are, then they get a personal loan. But in reality, most people are swiping their credit card not understanding that they are living in a crisis in itself.
They're in their mind and they are telling themselves, I have this under control. I'm going to pay this. This is such a lower amount than what I don't need a loan for this just yet because it's not that substantial. So I can keep it under control with this credit card.
What I usually see is individuals who take out the personal loan, they take it out after they have finally accepted that they have a credit card issue. That's after maybe 6 months of not paying down the principal.
Because generally the interest for a loan is a lot less than 24%.
Yes. And then the thing about a personal loan could be anywhere between 8 to 12%. For a doctor, it might be anywhere between 6 to 10%.
Right.
I mean, Panacea Financial, one of the good companies that we work with, again, not being sponsored by it at all, they offer personal loans to even like residents or students who come into a bind. You can look up in Google who has the best personal loans for doctors. I suggest you look into doing that. If you're going to take out any debt at all, look into that before you go straight to the credit card because the credit card is a dangerous place to be. And if you don't use it wisely, it will wreck you. There's a reason that you get all of these bonuses, these bonus miles, and you get all these rewards.
I was going to ask you that next.
Listen, there's no free lunch. So they're giving it to you because they understand that if I give it to 100 people, 70 of these 100 people will not be able to pay it eventually.
Yeah.
So they're banking on somebody hitting their limit of $18,000 and not being able to pay it. And the interest that they make on those individuals will make up for all the rewards that everybody else receives. And the thing about it is, if we're in a room full of 100 doctors, I guarantee you 100% of those doctors are going to think they got it under control.
Right.
When the credit card companies know this is a number game and they do not have it under control. So if I'm talking to Dr. Marcus, I'm going to say, number one, hey, we need to get our finances in order. Because if we don't have our finances in order, understand, $18,000 is less than 10% of how much he makes. So if he makes for what, $240,000, that means before taxes, he makes about $20,000 a month. If he can save half of his income for 2 months, he has $20,000 and he can pay off the entire thing.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to like hunker down and say, all right, I need to get this thing taken care of. And for you out there, it might not necessarily be credit card debt. It might be a car loan that is like astronomically high. It could be anything in your life. Sometimes you have to hunker down and tell yourself, I will get this knocked out. 2 months at a doctor's income, you could knock out a majority of financial issues.
That's good. So, snowball effect. Pay it down. If you have it, which in this case, although being a new associate dentist, he can make it. He has that earning ability to make it. So pay it off as quickly as possible. Go back to the ramen noodle, rice and beans, whatever you have to do, because that 24% will essentially eat him alive.
Absolutely.
All right. That was a good one. All right. So you ready for our caller number 2?
Let's do it.
All right. So we have Dr. Sarah here. She's a pediatric dentist with $410,000 in student loans at 9.2% interest, delaying marriage and children because of financial stress. Her question is, I feel like my student loans are controlling every major life decision I make. How do I stop debt from stealing my future?
Great question. The number one way I like to start to think about it is, number one, how big is this student debt issue really to my personal life? Because sometimes we can get caught up in the noise. We hear a lot of people talk about student loans. It's a big issue. It's a big issue. It's a big issue. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I know pediatric dentists that are easily crossing $300,000 to $400,000 a year. So the rule of thumb generally is never take out more student loans than you're gonna be able to pay back as far as 1 year's worth of income. So sometimes you can boost it up to 1.5, 2
and
times.
I think even that's an important idea and concept, because that's not just for dentists. That's in general.
In general.
Because I remember we had that conversation a few years ago, and I think it was for a master's program, and you told me to look up how much was the yearly income for the physician, and it didn't make sense.
Didn't make no sense. And sometimes if we just take a step back and think to ourselves, listen, if I'm going to take out $400,000 in loans, can I at least make half of that, to at least one full times that? So can I make $200,000 to $400,000? If I can't make that, then maybe I should take my time and not maybe go straight into a pediatric specialty. Maybe I should take some time to be able to earn some income so I can pay for it cash when it comes time. So we got to understand our financial life affects our personal life. And when we put the financial decisions on the back burner, you're going to feel like Dr. Sarah, where she says she's delaying marriage and children because of financial stress. But in reality, let's take a step back and really unravel this. Let's say if she's making, let's say the average pediatric dentist income, which is about $300,000, okay? If she's making that, she has about $410,000 student loans. The real issue here is not the $410,000. It's the fact that she's paying 9.2% interest. So now I'm not sure if she's already taken her loans out of federal and maybe went private and refinanced, but that's a very high interest. Or a good possibility is she's been a pediatric dentist for a long time and she has pre-COVID rates. And that's what she's working with now. Because I remember pre-COVID, I've seen rates that were double digits, easy. Yeah. So this is a good time for her. Honestly, during COVID would have been a perfect time for her to refinance. She would be sitting at 3s and 4s. See, the thing is, like when we're missing windows in time, like COVID, to refinance, I know it feels like, well, I just deal when I get to it. Finances it doesn't tell you when the landscape is going to change. Right. You don't know when COVID is going to come. You don't know when 2008 crash is going to come. You don't know when housing is going to reach its peak in 2022 and then start going down from there. You have to have a good pulse on your finances so when the dynamics change underneath you, you can now move quickly. But let's deal with her situation where it is now. She could easily refinance this and get into the 6s. That's going to shave off 3 points right there. 3% of $410,000, quick math, that's about $12,000 a year she's going to be saving. All right.
I think the one thing that I've heard, even around that time of like COVID and when everyone was discussing refinancing and things like that, was like a lot of people did not want to refinance, or it was just like that fear associated with refinancing, because in the event that something was to happen, then they lose the perks of being associated. Like if it was like a federal loan, then they lose those perks and those benefits of being like, if it's forbearance, if it is, what is the one where if they work for 10 years?
Forgiveness.
Yeah. But student loans, like service for forgiveness.
Public service loans.
Yes. Yes. So I think people are afraid to move out of that realm of public loans because essentially it would be categorized as a private loan now.
I'm glad you say that. And this brings us back a little bit to caller number 1. When it came to, we're talking about the perks of the credit cards. Sometimes we let the perks dictate the decision. See, perks are supposed to be an addition to. It's not supposed to be the main reason we're making decisions. At 9.2% interest, and during COVID, things got as low as refinancing to 2s and 3s. I don't care what perks we have available to us.
I'm taking it. Sign me up.
I'm taking it, because when you can cut your loans down from 9% down to 3%, you are literally shrinking the interest by that much. Yeah, you take it and you run with it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, back then they were floating the idea of doing student loan forgiveness up to about $10,000 or $20,000. If you take $10,000 or $20,000 or $400,000 is doing absolutely nothing in comparison to a rate decrease. Yeah. So that's why we have to put our financial hat on and don't let the media, dictate what's going on in your personal life, because understand the media is broadcasting on a public forum, right? Public
It's
stage.
generalizing.
Most people are not dealing with more than $50,000 in student loans.
Yeah.
Doctors are usually easily dealing with over $100,000, $200,000 in student loans. So when you're taking public information like, okay, you can get $10,000, $20,000 of forgiveness and applying that to $400,000 and you miss a refinancing window, now it's leaving you at closer to 6%. You should probably still get around there versus 3%. That is a huge difference.
Yeah.
So, but where she is now, again, let's deal with the situation we have right now. $410,000 at 9.2% interest. She can still, again, get it refinanced. And then from there, find a good payment that's going to be able to help her take care of her life. Let's say if she's making, again, $300,000 a year. What is that per month? We're talking about roughly about $24,000 a month. That's a really solid income for somebody to live off of. And then once she refinances it, she might be paying around $2,000 to $4,000 max per month. See, when you think about it that way, it actually makes it a little less constraining.
Right.
Because once she gets it refinanced, once she finds an actual payment that works for her, and listen, if 10-year repayment cycle doesn't work for you, push it out. You have to live life.
Yeah.
Like, you trying to pay off student loan in a 10-year window that stops you from starting a family, from having kids. Nothing financial should ever stop you from starting a family and having kids, especially as a doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, understand the sacrifice has already happened on the front end. Don't sacrifice on the front end
Longer
and on the back end.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't even make sense. What happens is someone needs to sit down and show her finances. And Dr. Sarah, you always more than welcome to send it over to us. We'll sit down and walk you through how you can, number one, shave off at least 3 points, take it from 9% down to 6%. And then from there, get a monthly payment that makes sense. Because right now I can already hear Dr. Sarah. This is probably impacting her relationships, her mental health.
She doesn't want to get married. She's delaying marriage.
Imagine all that being affected just because we're on the wrong repayment plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not even saying that she can't afford it, just literally on the wrong repayment plan.
Yeah.
If she gets on the right repayment plan, understand, if she's making $300,000 a year, there are people who are making $50,000 a year who can still afford to start a family, get married, do all the things that she needs to. So I want to make sure we at least take the financial tip off of this, because I don't want debt and interest to create more stress in her life. I want to take that off the table so she can now realize, hey, do I really want to get married? Do I really want to have kids? Like, let's make it a personal decision and not a financial decision, because finance should have no bearing on this.
That's good. So essentially her sitting down, coming up with an actual plan, so then she can move into the rest of her life stress-free, because it's already working for her in the background.
Absolutely.
As long as it's working for her in the background, then there's nothing to stress about.
You got it.
That's good. That's good. Because one thing that I know you firmly believe in is that you don't like to pay for things twice.
Absolutely not.
So like you said, she's already
expensive.
paying. Yeah, she's already paying for it. She already paid for it on the front end and delaying her life and going the route of becoming a pediatric dentist. So why delay that even further, which would cost her even more from maybe not finding a husband, losing the one that's supposed to be her husband due to the life that she's chosen for herself and how it's affecting her long term, delaying kids. And I mean, although science has like allowed for women to have children at a later age, you still don't want to delay that too long, depending on what route she wants to take. So I think
I just
that's
want the
very important.
options to be in her hands. Whether she wants to get married or wants to have kids or don't want to get married or don't have kids. It should be her option and not allowing her finances to make these decisions for her.
Yeah.
She deserves more.
That's good. All right. So we have our last question of this episode. We have Dr. Chen. Dr. Chen is a first-year practice owner using a practice line of credit at 13% while struggling with payroll pressure. Dr. Chen wants to know, he says, everyone told me ownership was a path to wealth, but right now it just feels like pressure. Did I make a mistake by buying too early?
Honestly, believe it or not, Dr. Chen, I hear this a lot more often than people think, right? Those first 1 to 3 years of practice ownership will really test your sanity. It will really test your resolve. So in year one, thinking to yourself, was practice ownership really worth it is not a good way to think about it, right? If we committed 4 years for dental school and Dr. Chen is a vet, so already gave 4 years to veterinarian school, then understand, like, you should at least give your practice 2 to 4 years. Give it a chance to be able to mature. I always say a practice is like a baby. It needs a chance to be able to walk on its own, talk on its own, be able to help you. To be able to expect all that from a 1-year-old is like not realistic.
Right.
So the practice needs you to feed it. It needs you to groom it. And it's going to need everything you got to be able to get it to where it needs to get to. So a lot of people like come in, practice ownership. Like, yeah, I blew it up. Everything went amazing, or it went absolutely horrible. To be honest with you, most successful practice owners you're not going to hear from because they're not saying much. They're working their days. They're enjoying their life. You're usually going to hear more issues coming from people who are having issues within practice ownership. So for Dr. Chen, let's get specifically to your question. Using a practice line of credit at 13% to be able to help with your payroll pressures. One question I always ask, and one thing I always tell people, when you're starting a practice, you want to make sure that you are guaranteeing income for your practice. How do you guarantee income? You want to make sure you're still working at least 1 to 2 days a week outside of your practice while your practice continues to grow. You have to make sure you have some type of revenue coming in to be able to handle the bills. Let's say you're making $1,500 and you're doing that 4 weeks out of the month. I mean, you add that up, that's about $6,000. That'll cover any payroll that you possibly have, especially if you have a lean team, right? You, a front desk plus an assistant, or whatever the pediatric configuration is. Don't overstaff, don't overpay as far as rent. And that's why when it comes to a startup, you want to make sure you're not locking yourself into too much too early. You want to make sure you're negotiating aggressively on the front end to make sure you have runway on the back end. But let's say you're getting that $6,000 by just temping and doing other things on the road. And let's say your practice can actually match that and do another $6,000. It's not a lot, but at least you got $12,000 to be able to handle some type of bills, and you have your working line of credit to be able to handle anything else. Now, if it sounds like Dr. Chen probably blew through his working line of credit, and that's why he had to get another practice line of credit at 13%. Because usually if you have a line of credit as far as your working capital, it's going to be more in line with the practice note itself. That's going to be sitting at whatever the market is dictating. Right now, currently practices within vet and dentistry are sitting at around anywhere between 4 to 6%. So the fact is that 13 is already telling me that there's a little bit of financial mismanagement going on. So I would say Dr. Chen needs to sit down with a professional, and then number one, just come up with the psyche and understand that when you're building a practice, you're building long-term wealth. This isn't a stock flip that you buy it today and I can flip it tomorrow, right? When you're building a practice, you're banking on, by building this practice, I'll be able to increase my income at a substantial enough number that's worth the risk that I'm taking on. If I'm not going to be able to increase my wealth by a substantial amount, then you might as well just be an associate.
Right.
Why deal with the stress? Why deal with the nights when people go home and they're done charting? You got to actually do more. So when you keep that in mind and you factor all those things in, ownership has to feel like it's worth it. So Dr. Chen, number one, is to understand in year one, it's okay if you have financial pressures. But the thing is, figure out where the financial pressures are coming from. Then we need to figure out, okay, if you're having payroll pressures, do we have too many people on payroll? Do we need to cut back? Do we need to lean on some AI? Do we need to outsource and get a virtual assistant?
Which is good.
There's a lot of different ways you can reduce your payroll cost and to make sure that you're in line with industry averages for a different startup.
And being more efficient as well.
Be a lot more efficient. See, Dr. Chen needs to get around other new practice owners so he can ask, what are you doing to get your costs down? See, when we started our practice, we surrounded ourselves by other young practice owners, and we would change notes and figure out, hey, what are you doing? Hey, this is what I'm doing. And in that way, it can make sure that, hey, okay, I'm not missing anything.
Right.
Because Dr. Chen is missing something. His working line of credit is blown through. And he has a line of credit that's double what industry average is for a practice. So I want to make sure at least you're already having guaranteed income coming in through making sure you stay on a temping and doing something to have some type of guaranteed income coming in, and then give your practice a chance to grow. Okay. Revenue is going to solve a lot of problems, but you don't want to outgrow certain things, because if I give him $100,000 to solve these issues, I guarantee he's going to be back in this particular scenario in one way or another within a few years. You have to figure out how are you going to build your practice in a sustainable way as it continues to grow in the future. So when more income comes in, you know how to deal with it. So Dr. Chen, if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us on that. We'll get an answer for you.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to understand as well that in that first year, yes, you have a practice. Congratulations. That's awesome. But it's still going to take a lot of work. It's still going to be a lot more hours that are put into the craft, maybe a lot less hours of sleeping during that time. That's still your grind season. Of course, you you had to grind through college, you had to grind through like whatever professional doctoral level program there was. But if you are going into practice ownership, like you said, it's a baby. That's still the grind of it. So figuring out what that grind looks like for you, what type of maybe familial support you'll have, what type of support that you'll have from colleagues, and how they can feed into you as a person and help feed into your practice. Because we did the same thing.
Absolutely.
It wasn't just starting one day opening up the doors and everything like ran smoothly. We still had to figure out what the ebbs and the flows look like. We still had to keep things afloat by working outside and temping in addition to...
I temped for 2 years when I practice started. Yeah.
In addition to working at the practice, long days, long nights. But once you get over that hill and everything is flowing smoothly, then you're able to see all of the missteps that you made on the back end, so you can figure out how to avoid them in the future, and even things that you haven't experienced yet, you'll know how to navigate around those.
Absolutely.
So,
man, that was an action-packed episode. You know, I love the Q&A episodes. If you have questions out there, please feel free to DM us at the Dr. Wealth Show or send it to us via email. The information is going to be in the show notes below so we can get your questions answered live. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode of the Dr. Wealth Show, a personal finance show for doctors. See ya. Peace.
bye.
This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended to be financial, legal, or medical advice. We are not acting as your personal financial advisors. The strategies discussed are general in nature and may not be appropriate for your individual situations. You should always consult your own qualified financial, tax, and legal professionals before making decisions about your money. The host and guests are not responsible for any actions you take based on the information shared on this show.
General.